Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to tonight's live map making session. Hope you're doing fine. Happy Thanksgiving to all our US viewers, if anybody's around and not already taking care of family and the turkey and everything. And still, since it's early in the morning for most America, or fairly early in the day for most Americans, and they're the only ones they're celebrating Thanksgiving this Thursday. We thought we'd go ahead with a live map making session and do it as normal, and all our US viewers who don't get a chance can watch this later on YouTube. Hope you can hear me well, and if anything's up with the sound, let me know in the chat or so. And otherwise, we'll get started. As always, if you have any questions during the session, post them in the chat, and Sue will answer them if she can, or forward them to me so I can answer them live while also showing stuff. Don't hesitate, and we'll see what we can do. I'm Ralph Sherman of Pro Fantasy Software, and I'm going to show you a little bit of Dungeon Designer 3 and making battle maps with floor plans, dungeons for your games tonight. I want to take a special into consideration that you might want to export these at a certain size for virtual tabletops or print them. And so we'll take a few looks at that and what you need to do to do this without too much hassle. All the while, we are basing the whole thing on one of the annuals from the second year of the Cartographer's Annual, the Battle Maps issue from, I think, November that year. And let's see how we get on with this. One example map from that annual issue is already on screen. Got a nice little interior temple layout with outside section, or just at the edge here going outside, and a special wall set up. And we might be doing something similar and try this out. But to begin, we are gonna click on as usual, on our new map button. Go up here on the file toolbar, click new. Don't save our current map, and from the map types choose dungeons. Or perhaps a little mention here that for sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. Mostly for historical reasons, we do have a dungeons and floor plan sections in our new maps, and because Dungeon Designer, our major add-on, the very first add-on for Campaign Cartographer 3 actually, is the name can be a bit misleading because it's not only for dungeons, it's all for all types of floor plans. So most of the stuff is under dungeons, but for some of the modern styles, and so to not make it too obscure, we've introduced the floor plans map section, so you find some stuff in there. But for now, for tonight, we are going to be looking at the dungeons map styles. In here, we do have all the different ones, of course, the Dungeon Designer style, typical one, the Symbol Set 4, Dungeons of Slay 1, the two bitmap styles and the vector styles from Symbol Set 2, and all the different annual mapping styles. And we're going to look at the Battle Map DD3 style, which is the one from the second annual I was talking about. And I'll just to keep with going through the older styles, I'm going to use that. We could also use just the straight DD3 style. It's not really much difference. It just has some extra notes and a little bit of different setup than the default Dungeon Designer 3 style. We could also go to a later battle map style. That's the deluxe battle maps style that came with one of the later annuals. This is mostly, it has more bitmap fill styles. Sorry, I got a little chuckle here because the cat just woke up from a dream or something, and she looks around a little bit confused. Yeah, Asa, everything's fine, you're good, it was just a dream. Where was I? Deluxe battle maps. It does have some extra bitmaps included from Symbol Set 2. Basically, everything has been put together, so you can start making lots of more different textures and drawing tools from the go. But we don't need to do that here for our demonstrations, so we're just going to stick with the standard battle maps annual style. Okay, and here we are. Oh, let's first take a look at the description here. It does have some useful notes for our specific one, because it lists some standard sizes that you might want to use. The default scaling for battle map from Dungeons and Dragons and similar role-playing games is nowadays an inch to 5 feet. So when we do a 5-foot grid, so that's the typical print size you want when you print your maps. And that, of course, defines how large you can make your map and still fit on certain paper sizes. And these, more conveniently, we've calculated them for you, and some of the sizes are listed here. And the smallest one, this is an A3 size, so that's about double US letter, or exactly double A4. And that comes to a grid of a 5-foot grid of 16 by 11 squares, or overall 80 by 55 size in feet. Doesn't sound much, but you'll see that it's large enough to put some nice stuff on it, and for smaller combats it will be more than enough. And you can print it on some home printers, and if not, it's just 2 pages on a default standard size home printer, which you can then tape together or just put next to each other. For larger sizes, obviously, you've got to print more paper, more pages. A2 would be double that size again, so 4 pages, and A1 again. So then you're at 8 pages from a standard printer. So it gets a little bit of work then. So for our example here, we are going to do an A3 sized map, so we're going to keep in mind 80 feet by 55 feet. And because that's the size we put in here, we can of course do it horizontally and vertically, but just for my demonstration here on screen, a horizontal alignment is easy on the eyes. So we're going to put in 80 by 55 feet. Not going to bother about a map title. Don't need that for a battle map. But I'm not going to finish at this point, but instead I'm going to click next. I don't want to change the background. The default dirt and grass bitmap background is just fine, but I want to put the overlay grid on the map already. So I'm going to go into grid settings. I'm going to choose a square grid and our typical 5-foot grid. And I'm not going to put any labels in, because I don't want. Oh, actually, I could and show you if you sometimes you might want to actually number your grid. So we're gonna give that a try. We're gonna put in some labels, and we're going to put the labels inside of the cells because we want them on the printout. We can read them each of the squares. And we're gonna start the x axis with the A and the y axis with the 1. And I'm gonna do an apply, gonna finish, and I'm gonna save my sample map. Battle maps. Got a question from Sue. Can you delete labels if you change your mind later? Of course. As always, it's just entities on the map which you can delete, and you can also change them and put them on different layers. Let's take a look at this. And from the start, we can see them here. They are very neatly up in the left upper corner of each square. But they might be a little bit too large. So they dominate our map pretty much. So we can take a look and change them. Let's have a look how they are set up. I'm going to list this, and you can already see it does not only select the one text label I'm clicking on, but also the grid and everything. And that's because it's a grouped grid you define when starting the map will be one group. So it can all be moved and selected together. And see, it's a group with all the different lines for the grid and the text entities on the grid sheet. And what I want to do is I want to separate these and put the text labels on their own sheet and layer, so I can show and hide them separately from the grid. So that's what I'm going to do first. And how do I separate a group? I can just ungroup it. Let's edit. Oh, where is actually in the menu? No, it's under Tools, Groups, Ungroup, select the group, and then it'll just be separated in all its different entities. But I want to keep the grid as a group and not change that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to unlock it temporarily. And now I'm going to move to Sheet by Entity Type, and I want to move all the text to a different sheet. See, now I've only got the text labels selected. There we are. And I do a completely separate sheet for that. So I'm going to put that on text grid. Move this up next to the, or just below, just before the normal text sheet. Okay. And now I can just hide this separately if I want to. Just leave the grid on, or hide and show both. But what I'm also wanted to do, I want to change these a little bit. I want to change properties again. I'm going to select by entity type to the text. Do it. And I want to put it on its own layer on text labels. And I want to change the color. I do want to make it dark. And I want to change the text properties. This looks very small. I'm not sure it's the current text size of the grid. I should have probably used extract properties first, so I do have the current text size selected here, but I'm just going to give it a try. Just change the height to 0.05. Click OK. And that looks like the text is already very small. There. Yes, that's what I thought. This is very small text size. So what am I going to do again? This time I'm just going to do change text properties directly. And I'm going to select by prior. So everything I've just been editing gets selected again. And let's say 0.2. And that's in this way we don't see the text very strongly here at the moment. It's perhaps a little bit too invisible, especially on printing with a dark text. Might not be readable at all. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the color back to our gray. Color to 54. It's still currently selected color. There we go. And it's very small here on screen. That's fine. I don't need to read it on screen, but it should be just be readable when we print it out on a full page. So there's our grid, and I'm going to keep the grid on so I can see when I'm drawing, because the grids will be important for playing on it. So it's nice to have that visible while drawing, but what I'm going to hide on the text grid, so I don't, because I don't need the text showing, and it will just get in the way of editing stuff. Okay, good. When I'm already showing a few things. Yes, when you groups are defined, when they're now groups will be all entities next to each other in the drawing list. That means they also need to be on the same sheet. And if you move parts of a group out into a different sheet, then they will not be part of that group any longer. That's why the text is now not part of the grid group anymore. If I look, see this, and see the grid is still a group, but there are no text entities in it anymore. It's just the lines that make up the grid. Okay, but we are on our actual map now. We want to do some drawing. So I'm gonna turn off the grid for now, because I don't want to snap to the grid exactly. And now I want to make a cave entrance or something like that, an underground complex. And for that I'm going to start out by drawing some walls. And let's have a look at the walls drawing tool, right click that and display the samples. See, we do have some different style tools for drawing walls, straight walls, but what I want some irregular cave walls to start out. And so we're gonna pick this first tool here with all the current fill and current color, and we're gonna change. We select this tool first, and then we choose a new texture, a new background or color if you want to use a solid fill to draw this. So I want to do some rock walls basically, and for that I'm going to take a look at some of the textures I have in the drawing, see what fits there. And I was already thinking from the example maps on our stone lava cooled bitmap. It's got a little bit of brown in it, mostly gray, and I think it makes for a nice cave wall texture. So I'm gonna select this, and the color is fine with the bitmap fill style selected. Our entity color will not be visible anyway. So I'm gonna start drawing our rock wall. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna draw the main part of our interior cavern already all in one go. So I'm gonna draw, and see I'm sticking to roughly the grid outline, so it's pretty clear on our game map which squares are actually ones you can walk on, and other ones which might not be wall or not be accessible. So here's gonna be our entrance. And then I'm gonna attach my cave wall to the map border by clicking just outside the corners until I'm close to where I started. Right click, and here's my wall layout. There we go. And now you can do stuff. You see, here's it's my wall texture. You can take a look, and I might want to change. Oh, I should activate sheet effects actually. There we go. That way you can see the wall much better. Oh, nice cave wall. And you could, if you wanted to show the grid just not on the walls, just on the floors, you can move the grid up and put it underneath the walls sheet. There we go. Well, it looks nice. Assuming we don't have any creatures that can walk inside of walls, so we don't need the grid on the walls. If we can always change that later if we don't like this art, but for now it's good. And we've got the outline of our cave. So next up, I do need a little bit of background on because we don't want the grass and dirt background all the way in the cave. And for that I'm going to choose the floor drawing tools. have a look. What do we want here on our... Can have a rocky natural background. We've got can have some flagstones. Some again, we can of course use a tiled stone background, actual lava, the checker tiles. But I'm gonna go with just some grey stone background, and now I can actually turn on the grid, although I don't really need to do that. Actually, I'm going to turn this off and do a little bit of... So some dirt might have been brought into the cave. And there's our floor background. We've got the dark outline here. I'm not overly fond of that for the moment. We don't really need it on the floors. So we can turn the... I'm on the grid sheet. There's the floor sheet. Turn the glows off. And I do want a bit of... get rid of some of the grass. So what I'm going to do is going to take off the terrain tool, take the second darkest brown, and actually draw a little bit of non-grass background here. This will extend below the floor. Oh, we've got the nice transition here from that brown into this one, and it's not something I would like in here too. So what I'm going to take a look. Got the edge fade on the outside. I'm going to grab that and paste that on the floor sheet. And now we've got the same kind of transition between... Oops. Oh, it was... So that looks good. What I want to do now, I'm saying someone did some construction inside this the caves, and we're going to put in some not so natural looking walls. For that, I'm going to click on the wall section again, and again I'm going to choose the current fill because I want the same fill as the other rock background, so they blend in together nicely. And I can also choose my current width in here. So I'm again going to go to my cooled lava bitmap fill. There we are. And let's do a 1 foot wide wall. And now I'm gonna just draw... Oh, actually what I want to do, I want to turn on snap. And you can see the two walls snap together very nicely. Now I'm going to use extract properties, so I don't have to change the settings later on when I want to draw more walls. Just going to click the pipette here, click on the wall, and then you can see up here the current drawing settings are set to the properties of the wall. Now I can just grab the wall tool with current fill and current width and just draw the rest in here. It's looking quite nice. Okay, got another question. I just saw here from Fergus. No, Fergus Swingo. Okay. This edge fades, if you have them near the map border, or basically they go all around the edge of the map border if your entity goes up to the map border. Yes, that's how an edge fade works. Can't directly say you don't want it on in a specific direction. What you can do and then should do, you should extend your texture beyond the map border. Most maps have a screen entity for that, so that hides the texture extending beyond the map border. And that way you won't see the edge fade effect. The other option is, of course, to add another sheet on top of the fading one and just draw in the same texture and the same bitmap fill over the fading areas, so they are invisible. But mostly you just draw a larger section. And if you have a drawing tool that limits itself to the map border, for example, here from if I look here, one of the terrain drawing tools, you see it is restricted to the map border, and you wouldn't be able to draw beyond the map border. If you want to do that, just uncheck this option on the drawing tool, and then you can draw beyond the map border. Good. So why did I use these specific walls in here? They do have a one great advantage. I can just break a gap in them with the tool, with the door symbols. So I want to grab a reinforced wooden door here and break a section in here. I might want the door to actually be a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to do it at 4 feet instead of the typical 5 feet. Oh, now of course the default is 5 feet, so if I want a 4 feet size door, I need to put in a scale of 1.8 of 0.8. See, now it's the size I wanted. Just put in the single door here, a double door here, nice strong metal door up here, and a fairly flimsy normal one. This is actually already a bit too large for this. So what's happening here? Why can't align this to this the wall section? That's because I did not draw this on the grid, really, on the mob section, and my mouse cursor is set to snap and always only snaps to the grid sections, and most when I'm down in here in this area, the grid points are not on this wall. To change this, I can just simply turn off snap for the moment, and then my mouse moves freely again, and then when I hover across the wall here, it just aligns nicely. Make the door still a little bit smaller. And there's my proper gap in the wall. Turn on snap again. Okay, so I do want a stair in here to make a transition to a lower level. So I'm gonna go up and down, grab the downstairs, and I've got several options available here, and I don't want the very obvious red arrow, so I'm going to grab the varicolor one and stay with the gray. I'm gonna put this in here, and obviously you can see the cave wall hides our stairs because the wall is on top of the stair symbols. But I want to put a gap in here, so what I'm going to do is I want to, we want the walls, wall current fill here, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set up a tool that lets me edit this in straight section without the fractals and without actually changing the existing drawing tool. Oh, sorry. I wanted to select this first, and then so I know which one I'm working on here. This is the one, and I'm going to make a copy of this. Close. I'm going to call it straight or closed straight, or I'm just going to call it edit to see that I want to use this for editing. And I'm going to do a path polygon. So I have the same kind of tool, just without the fractal options. Okay, and now I can press E for edit, and I want to edit here, and I want to just put a straight section around my stairs in here. And right click to finish my edit. And there we do have my nice little cutout showing the stairs leading down at this point. Good. I still think the floor is probably a bit too clean to just gray. So what can I do? I can, for example, put overlay on top of my floor. And for that we do have this partially transparent gray floor tiles. Just grab this one here and I'm just gonna draw this across all the existing sheet. See, there's my dusty gray overlay, and that looks a lot less clean and regular than the previous version. Now I can go and put in some furniture, and also what I can do is I'm gonna use this with the 0 width to put in a rock column. I go turn off snap to if I want to draw something more regular. Another one here and another one here. That's really good. Then I want to get a little more green as I'm going to the edge of the map here. For that I'm going to go to my outside terrain again, grab first some of the green partial backgrounds here. This one. I'm going to draw this here. And here you can see a bit that we do get a little bit of fading here at the edge, which I don't really want. So I can show you what I was talking about earlier. And I'm gonna grab the solid version of this. Oops, but I should go into the advanced and turn off the restrict to map border option here. And it just may be that this style doesn't have a screen entity set up, but we'll see. So I'm drawing beyond the map border here, but it does have a screen entity set up, and you can see the edge fade is not visible. I could show you if I turn on this. This is the screen sheet where the screen entity is on. If I turn this off, you can see the grass extending beyond the map border, and you can see the edge fading effect is on the edge here. We're just hiding it beneath our screen entity. Good, so that's looking very nice here. So I'm gonna now go in for some symbols, load up my vegetation catalog, grab a couple of trees, make sure I'm on the symbols trees sheet. For the larger ones here, there we go. Nice and easy. You can see what's here. This screen entity is perhaps a little bit narrow, or so narrow that our trees are visible beyond the edge. We can change this by expanding the screen entity, but we can also just go in and move our symbols a little bit. Oops, only the symbol, not the fill. Do it. And that way the border covers them nicely. Then I'm going to go to the normal symbols sheet and put in some bushes. This way they are now below the trees. If I refresh the screen, as you can see here, and then I'm going to go into the symbols flat sheet and put in some scrubs. Flat because we don't want these to throw any significant shadows. We should also be able to just put them on the edge of the rock wall here, and so we do have a little bit of weeds growing here on the rock edges and a refresh. Yes, the wall is nicely above these symbols. Quite like that. I might also want to put in perhaps a bit of a track here. So see whether we have any. Good. We have the path tools up here. 4-foot bound curved path. And so we do have a little bit of an idea of a brown path leading off from our cave entrance. So that's pretty nice. So we do have our strong door here. So this is perhaps a smuggler's hideout or something. So we're going to put in some furniture, some containers here, some sacks lying here, and a trunk. Oh, where's my arrow keys? There's my arrow keys. And got a barrel. Good, then thank you very much. Nice to hear that you're liking this. And so wanted to add some bags on top of here. Then we are gonna put in perhaps a fireplace, if I can remember. I think we have a fireplace option somewhere. If this is no, it's not in debris. Is it in cave? Or am I misremembering? Perhaps I'm misremembering and we don't have a fireplace in here. It might be in some other style. No big deal. What for now? I'm just gonna use a brazier instead. And let's have a look at the furniture. Perhaps it was in here. Oh, yes, sorry, I'm hiding a little bit of the map behind my video insert. So this is what I was working on. And let's put in a couple stools. Ah, there's the fire I was looking for. Right. Knew it was somewhere. Here's my campfire. I'm going to put that in. It's more fitting. It's also an unlit version. And so we can go in a little bit more closely and put little details on, like a pan with some bacon over the fireplace, a couple stools around here. Let's do one in a different style. It's probably not going to be a very organized and orderly hideout. We go. Then let's take another look at our containers and treasures section. See, we've got some nice stuff in here, most that we can place clothes, some bags, paper. There we go. One thing was pretty good for the fireplace. I was still working on symbols flat, so these don't cast any shadows, but perhaps something like the stools and so. I want to move to that sheet, so I can select these symbols and move them to the symbols sheet. So look, there's a little bit of darker outline and very slight shadow on the containers as well. So let's move these to the symbols sheet. Very good. And perhaps there would be a little bit of a place to sleep here in in this side room, I think we do have some simple beds somewhere here. Here we go. Probably something more like just a sleeping place would be more appropriate, but I'm gonna go with this for now. I'm gonna keep it simple. Then I want to add a little bit of rocks and stuff on the map. For that I'm gonna go to my caves catalog and go to symbols flat again. Then just grab some of the brown rocks here, and then go for the grey ones as I go into the cave. Scatter these around the edges. The wall entity will hide them, the overlapping ones. So we just see the ones on the floor there. Good. Yes. So the question about the lighting. Yes. That if you would introduce proper lighting, but you'll have to look at the last week's session. I worked on lighting on the map there last week. Or was it the week before? Oh, I already get confused. But 1 or 2 videos before this one. And this is some extra work setting up the proper lighting and stuff, which I'm not gonna cover today. So that looks pretty nice. Could be a nice battle map for people trying player characters investigating something and stumbling upon a smuggler's hideout, running into some smugglers and have a little fight, and perhaps then have to go on and dive deeper into the cave here and see what's going on there. So a few things that battle maps do. Sometimes you'll have stuff like symbols that designate stuff like dangerous areas or certain rough terrain or so on a battle map. And let's have a look. I don't remember off the top of my head of whether the style back then had some extra symbols on this. Let's have a look inside the symbols of the style. No, nothing in here. Did I just do it? There's creatures. That's the light sources. No, not in here. Dungeon. There's the symbol set I was looking for. CA21 was the annual issue, and that's the markers. And see, we've got some different shapes, stuff in here, which we can just put on the map. We've got the vari-color, so you can just switch the color to something, and we will be working with the bright gray color here. Previously, so we want to mark square as specifically covered by a tree. We can, yes, it's the default symbol style. Just click on the corner. Oh, we should rotate it correctly first. So I'm gonna go set normal and see if you then click in the middle of the square, it will put the symbol up in the top right corner. So it's set up to be fairly inobtrusive, and this is a tree cover, so it will indicate if your figure is on this square, then you've got cover from the tree, something like that. Or typical one was on Dungeons and Dragons maps, I think mostly from edition 4. I'm not really up to date with what they're doing with battle maps currently, but if you had difficult terrain that you would cost extra to move into or over, then you'd have a little triangle in the corner of the symbol. So I can say these are difficult terrain, squares, and this way you can mark certain sections on your map, give an indication when people just moving around on the map, they can immediately see, oh, this is dangerous, characters have to be careful when crossing this area. and so on. This is just a little extra useful for battle maps I wanted to show you. I'm also going to turn on the grid again. So we've got the numbers in here, as you can see. And then we get to the issue of exporting and printing the whole stuff. Let's start out by printing. So we said at the start, when we decided this should fit on an A3 size map. So we're going to go into print. And I'm going to choose my Adobe PDF printer here. Oh yeah, good suggestion from Sue first. The text grid is obviously still above the wall sheet, and so the grid numbers are showing on squares that are not actually where people can't move onto. So what we can do, we can just move this up until it's just below the grid sheet, and that way the ones in here are not showing anymore. So some may be invisible, we were still part of the square is accessible like this, but they will be obvious from the numbers on the adjacent squares. These symbols are got another question mark versus. If I make a HAPS map, will the symbols snap into the appropriate positions as well? They might be roughly, but they're not specifically set up for that. They are set up for a square grid, because most of official battle maps for Dungeons and Dragons and similar games are on square grids. But it would be fairly easy to adapt this to hex setup. You just edit the symbols and move them around a little bit so they fit into a hex grid at the appropriate spots. Because the origin of the symbol is the center of the square or hex you're placing them on. It's still fairly easy to adjust them accordingly, or just scale them and placing them down. That would probably already help as well. Problem with hex is a little bit that they can be aligned in two different ways, horizontally or vertically, and the symbol position would probably be a little bit different between the two orientations if you don't want to put them right into the center of the hex. Okay, we were on the topic of printing. I already have a scale factor set up. I see here the drawing distance is what we are showing in the map, so 1 square is 5 foot. And the paper distance is then also in feet. And this is actually an inch. This is measured to a foot. This comes down to exactly an inch on paper. What you can also do, you can put it in with the symbol for inches, like this, and then come back out and do the calculation. This is what I actually put in when I set up the template back then. Just going to apply and close this, and then open it up again. Oh, actually, yeah, I put in 2 inch and not 1 inch. That's why it's double the distance now. Stupid me. So it's 1 inch. Apply, and then open up the print dialog. You can see that's the numerical version that Campaign Cartographer shows then. And it's set up all to tile already in horizontal tiling, so 2 pages right next to each other horizontally, and with a little overlap, 3% in this case. That's mostly to make it more easy to tape the 2 pages together if you want to do that. And we're going to do a preview here, and you can see this is the layout Campaign Cartographer will do with the 2 pages. Now my preview window is gone. There we are again. Let's close this, and let's actually print this. Shouldn't take too long. It's probably set to fairly high resolution, so the resulting bitmap looks good. Yes, another question further is Cameligrapher does also understand measurement and values like centimeters and meters when you put them in. So that's all good. So I'm gonna save my printed map dungeon. Still working on the printing. It's taking a bit longer than I expected. Probably because the default bitmaps resolution DPI of my Adobe PDF is set very high, and therefore, there we go. Something is happening. Of course, should have checked my print settings previous for that. Okay, let's see whether we can actually leave this in the background. And open our map here again. Ah, there we are. There we are. Although it does. What? I would have to check the settings for the bitmap. The resolution doesn't look too good on my PDF printer here at the moment. I would have to check this out, but for the moment you can see that it's been printed to a couple pages with some overlap. You can see the stool here on one page and the other. And you could now print this on 2 pages of paper and put it together for a larger map. Print out larger than 1 page of your printer can handle. And that's your printed version of the map at the correct scale. If you measure those, then each square on the paper will be exactly 1 inch in size. Oh, now I need to go back to my other instance of Campaign Cartographer. Here we are. Resolution for printing. Let's have a quick look what my Adobe PDF settings are here. It's in paper quality. So this is 1200 dpi. It gets fairly large because Campaign Cartographer has to create this as the internal bitmap first. So usually 600 dpi should be more than enough for your printing, and you can adjust that as you need. Good. So this is the one thing. The other thing is exporting. So for that, you do often need to do a little bit of calculation. Say, your virtual tabletop that you want to use this map in has a standard size of perhaps 150 pixel per square. So 150 pixel for each of these squares here. And from our setup, we might remember, or we can check it, is that this is 16 squares by 11 squares. Little calculation, 16 by 150 is 1600 times half, Oh, this 900, so it's 2400. Is that correct? Or 2000? Let's grab the calculator quickly before I'm saying something completely wrong. 2400. I was right. And the other dimension is 11 by 150. Oops, 150. So 2400 by 1650, and that's your export size you need at least. What you might want to do is scale it down. So later in an external program and have some finer setup there, some little more control, so we could use double the size. So I would go in and say I want to save this as a JPEG file. I'll click on Options, and 2400 by times 2 is 4800, and the other size was 1650, so that will be 3300. Here you can set this resolution as well. For screen it's normally just 72 pixel per inch, because it's really, that setting is only important for printing and not for virtual display. And then we're gonna save this. Oh, actually, I should have done the rectangular section, not the whole thing, because this will export my screen entity, so the white border around everything, together with the rest. So but that's not a big deal. I can just since I wanted to be scaling it down anyway, I can cut this off and cut off the white space around the map, and then scale this to the desired 2400. See, the height is 1 pixel short here, but that shouldn't matter for our virtual tabletop. Oop. And there's my bitmap that I can now save and import into my virtual tabletop, and I will have 150 feet to the square in there. And that's how you export and print battle maps from Campaign Cartographer for outside use, either on the tabletop with a printed version or on the virtual tabletop with an exported bitmap image. Yeah, Vivian has a good comment there. Lines in Campaign Cartographer with a 0 width are just always 1 pixel wide on screen, the smallest the computer can display. That usually looks fine, but if you print it, it will be one print dot wide, and this is much narrower than a pixel on screen, and therefore 0 width line can be very hard to see on some printouts. And so it's usually better to make the lines a little bit wider and solid. So for example, one issue here is with the grid line. It won't be quite as bad because this has a little sheet effect applied the grid here, which makes it a little bit more visible because it has an actual width. But what you can also do, you can just change the line width of the grid. So I'm gonna select the grid, do it. I'm gonna set the fill style to solid. And the line width to something like, this is 5 foot, so 0.05. And there you have a white grid now. It does look a little bit harsh, perhaps on screen, but it will look much better and on the printout. You can also perhaps, in this case, on the grid, reduce the transparency or increase the transparency or reduce the opacity, whichever way around you want to say it, to make it less intrusive. and this will be better visible on the printout. Another good advice. And that's it for tonight. We've got our battle map finished, a nice little smuggler's hideout, printed it, exported it, and fairly good work for an hour in the evening, I think. Hope you enjoyed tonight's live mapping session, and hope to see you again next week. Have a nice Thanksgiving if you're celebrating it today. Otherwise, just enjoy your evening as normal, and have a good weekend after tomorrow. See you, and happy mapping. Bye bye.